Final exam, a test. Hey, we've all confronted that. And believe it or not, some people have feigned sickness in order to avoid that test or that final exam. Does that happen in adult life? Well, let's take a look at this week's case. Involves a real man, Michael Finn. Michael Finn was a practicing attorney, is a practicing attorney in Chicago. And he had a final argument before the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals. It was on a criminal appeal. Basically, this was going to be the final argument on the appeal process because it was unlikely that the case was going to go up to the U.S. Supreme Court. Well, lo and behold, on the morning that he was supposed to make that final argument before the court, he called the court clerk and said, "I'm really sick. I'm vomiting. I'm not doing well. I can't make it." Well, the court went forward with the argument without him being present, and his client lost the appeal. The court then asked for some verification that Mr. Finn was in fact sick, that he'd either been admitted to an emergency room or that he had some doctor's report that indicated that he was sick and unable to show up for that oral argument. Well, Mr. Finn wasn't able to come up with any document of that nature because, as he later admitted, he really wasn't sick. He just was not prepared. Well, you know, in grade school, this kind of thing happens. In real life, what happens when it's a lawyer who's involved? Well, the Circuit Court of Appeals said, "We're not happy. We are not happy. This should not happen," and fined him, Mr. Finn, $1,000. The State Bar of Illinois, who licenses lawyers, of course, said, "Hey, you abandoned your client for all intents and purposes, and you don't do this, and they suspended his license for 60 days, 2 months. He could not practice law for 60 days for 2 months. In addition, they further imposed monetary sanctions against him, fined him another $5,000. So what happens at the end of the day? For his little ruse in which he called in sick, when he really wasn't sick, on his final exam, he was prevented from practicing his profession for 2 months. He was fined $1,000 by a U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, and he was fined basically $5,000 by his state bar. So essentially, he couldn't work for 60 days, and he had to come up with $6,000. This isn't quite the way it happened in grade school, but this is the way it happens in the practice of law, once again demonstrating the high standard to which lawyers are held in this life. Well, we bring you this case, as we bring you cases every week, so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.